and welcome to our second Feltaholics tutorial video on how to make Gnome for the Holidays felting tutorial. How to make this little guy. Yes, he's just the cutest little thing. Thank you again if you bought a kit from me, and this is your video on how to make it. Excuse me. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It does help the algorithm. So let's get started. In your kit, you will receive, and I know some of you who didn't get a kit and have things with like some measurements, so you will receive 2 pieces of core wool, and the first piece of core wool is 14 inches because I've separated them for you, and the second one is 8 inches. What else you will get is your pipe cleaner to help form the candy cane hat, the loop for you to hang it onto the tree, your white for the hat, your black for the boots, your red for the body, and the hat. You will also get or need 2 4mm eyes. What you also get is 2 sets of felting needles, 2 small and 2 medium, little silver bell, a pom-pom for the nose, and these curly cues for the beard and the hair. So let's get started. And thank you to everyone who has liked and subscribed to Feltaholics, where you'll receive some more tutorials and some tips and techniques that I've learned over the many years, and lots of things I would have liked to know before I started. So what we're going to do is we are going to make an almost egg shape. So we were going to take your core wool, your long piece, and we're going to take about 1 inch off of it. Just pull that right apart. And like the bear, we are going to roll it. So roll it a few times. Oh, let me adjust this a little bit. There we go. We're going to roll it a few times. We're going to take your small felting needle and score it through the middle to hold it in place. Just go over it a couple times, keep it in place. And then you're going to roll it, and remember to roll it as tight as you can get it for the first few rolls. And then we're going to fold it over. This is not going to be a ball, but it does start out like one. You roll it a couple more times, score through the middle, and roll it a few more times with your looser end, depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed. Tuck one part of the bottom. And again, roll it a couple more times. Score it. Roll it. Score it again. Do that to the end. Remember, you only tucked in one end. That will be the flatter end now. And this will be the bottom. So do what I just did. Put that in place, score it, and finish rolling it. I'm going to get to the end of it, score it again. Now, even as this size, I want you to lightly poke, not tap or stab, but lightly poke to score it in place. You get done the top, turn it over, and you'll see if this is happening here. Just tap that in place. And we are going to build up from this in just a minute when we are finished. Now, if you need more practice with rolling your wool, don't tap it or stab it or score it. Just keep practicing the roll with it. You must have a solid core for your felts, or they will sag. Just tap this down, excuse me. Now you have the foundation. And again, take your larger piece, pull it in half, and again, about an inch. So everyone, I'm still getting used to this camera. And again, we're going to build up on this. So roll it over, go through that a little bit. Now we're going to do this different. We're going to do a couple rolls as we will roll upward. So we were going to roll upward like this. Don't do this. This is just an example. And as we're rolling, you see the shape take form. Now we can do this. So you got that in place. Give it a few little taps. Now, again, tightly, because remember, your core should be firm. So we're going to roll it. You can even put your felt sideways so then it rolls. So do that a few times, which you're comfortable with. Score it through and tap it a little bit so you can see how firm or smushy it is. Again, we were going to go for semi-firm. Okay, roll it a couple times. Score it. If it's getting a little out of hand at the end here, just wait. We'll take care of that at the end. And I know some of your core wool has little pieces of straw in it. Just gently pull that out. Sheep get into all kinds of mischief. So it's just some vegetable matter and straw, but it is clean. So roll it a couple more times. Score it through. Make sure it's connecting at the bottom. You see you'll have a loose piece. Put your finger onto that. Yep, felt that down. Now our gnome, I'll give you the measurements on it in a minute. So when you are done finished rolling, remember to watch your fingers. Watch your fingers. Hold the bottom. Just now you can stab some, lightly stabbing it into a shape. I'll give you the measurements on the gnome in just 1 second. Get this in place. So the gnome's body is going to be nearly 4 inches. Now his hat is taller, but we'll get to his hat in a minute. So just using your small fine felting needle, you are going to stab this into a shape, and now you can stab it. Watch your fingers. And with the 2 extra needles you get in the kit, you will receive an alcohol swab and a band-aid in each envelope. So you'll have 2 band-aids, 2 alcohol swabs, because it is inevitable that you will stab yourself. I did forget to mention the sponge that comes in the kit, which you will be working on. The purpose of the felting mat, the sponge mat, is so you don't break your needle on the table or whatever hard surface that you are working on. I just prefer the wool felted mats. So what you're going to do is just roll. You see it's starting to take shape now. And you don't have to go the way that I'm doing it. Tuck in those ends. Your top will have to be a little bit flatter for the hat to go on. I mean, now you'll notice when you stab this way as opposed to this way, it gives you a different technique. It also pushes this out forward as opposed to pushing it inward. But we're going to do this here, this way, excuse me. Get my hands out of the way. And never bend your needle. Please remember, don't bend your needles. They will break. They don't last forever. Now, when you get it to the point where it's looking an egg shape with a flat bottom, you can turn it and tap back and forth this way. This will help fill it out some. And light taps will help you get rid of some of these bumps and create a smoothness. Try to keep the bottom flat for the moment. Just tap, tap, taps on the outside. We'll firm it up just a little bit. No further than the notches that are here. Right here on the bottom. And if you're new to felting, you never have to go any deeper than the notches. These notches are arranged in a way for this particular needle that helps firm it up. And each needle has a different purpose depending on how these notches are arranged on the bottom of your needle. So we're going to just continue smoothing that out with taps. Tap, tap, tap. Remember, watch your fingers. You can take your time doing this. It will take you a few minutes to felt this all the way through. But don't stab. Stab. Don't stab, because then you'll get bumps and you'll have to go smoother and it will shrink, because as you make all these taps and stabs, your wool will shrink as the fibers are being mixed and tangled together. Smooth that all out. And there's no right or wrong way. It's a very simple craft. It does take a while to get the hang of everything, like moving your fingers into a good location where they're not going to be stabbed. And then when you get the shape that you like, yeah, just move it around. Don't stab in one particular area, or that one particular area will be more firm than the other. So we have semi-firm, which is good. And now again, we're going to build that up. So with the long strip, I want you to halve what you have left, pull it in half as best you can with the core wool. Doesn't always want to cooperate, but that's fine. Humidity is an issue. Just lightly run it through your fingers. Don't pull, because it will pull apart. And the natural oils from your hands will smooth it out. So again, start at the part where it's going to be the bottom. We're going to roll it again. So you have your shape, so we're just going to follow the form that you've made. Tap that down a little bit here. We're going to roll it up. Excuse me. I'm going to keep it firm. Roll it up. You got a little bit here. Pull it off a little bit there. Get some fuzzies, just tuck that down. Now follow that form that you just made. We're going to do this again, just like we did before, and now we're firming it up, and now it's starting to look like something. Tap, tap, tap that down. Firm taps, not stabs, not shallow. For right now, you don't need to go any deeper than the first set of notches. Don't lose track of the bottom. You turn it. You see your bottom is on the bottom. Now, if you need to, you take that piece on the bottom, because the bottom is what's going to keep the gnome in place if you don't want it for a tree ornament. Again, I'm going to wrap that bottom, work it up. It's okay if it only goes a little bit up. Tap that down. like the back and forth method depending on what I'm doing. Or you want to go with the grain at this point, you can go ahead and go there, but remember, firm taps, not stabs. Now what we did is created, excuse me, the almost egg shape. If you're not new to needle felting and you know how to create an egg shape with the flat bottom, and you're ahead of beginners, go ahead and make that shape. Well, we're going to smooth this out again. And when you have all this on, let's move it around. Maybe keep that top on an angle. So it will take you a few minutes. In the future, we will do videos that are not split in half. But for now, we have to keep them at a minimum. Please like and subscribe. Remember, it helps the algorithm, and it also helps you find tips, tricks, and techniques if you'd like to continue needle felting. Our Facebook page is up if you want to have a look at that, and we will be on Etsy soon. We'll move it around and keep that bottom flat. Alright, you can even put your thumb on it to help smoothen it out a little bit. Wool fibers are so versatile, and some of the strongest natural fibers in the world. I know some of you had questions about alpaca. Well, alpaca is allergy free. I have some raw alpaca that I've worked with before. Fabulous stuff. Very silky, very smooth. Get that all smoothed down. So in part 2, I'll show you what to do with this. Okay, see you in a second. Welcome to part 2 of your felting tutorial on Gnome for the holidays. So nextly, we are going to take our little half egg, and we were going to wrap it in some red fiber. So want to take about a half an inch of fiber, your red fiber, and you're going to start at the bottom. And we're going to wrap it much like we did with the core wool, but this is your color now. And we want the surface to be covered good. So again, you will take your small felting needle, just tap it, hold it in place. Just tap, tap, tap over your shape. Don't worry about the bottom, the very bottom for now. Don't worry about that. We're going to wrap it. Remember to do it tightly, but don't smoosh it. And I like to give everybody a bit extra fiber. in the beginner kits. Remember to control that wool. So what you do now is you will go with the grain of the fiber. This helps tap it down. Excuse me, this helps secure it down. And you find some pieces that are still bumpy, go the opposite direction. Remember, don't stab it. You're going to put it out of shape, and all that hard work you just did to get it to this half egg shape will be for nothing. Yes, there is a patch here. That's okay. We'll get to it after. This is how you control your wool. Just very gently run it through your fingers or your hands to smooth it down. The natural oils in your hands will smooth it down just like human hair. So again, we're going to wrap it. Now, we'll be covering this entire piece except for just a couple millimeters on top. Store it. This helps keep it smooth. And we're going to repeat the process until we're finished. You could do it how I did it, or you could do it how we laid down the CW, the core wool. You can flip it, do what you like with it. If you are having a problem and it's getting fuzzy on your mat, you could move it to a surface. Do not stab. We're just tapping the wool down. And again, don't go any deeper than the first set of notches on your needle. If you have a bare patch, you see I have a couple bare patches here. Yes, it's on purpose. I'm going to tap all over, get it smooth and attached down. Perhaps in the next video I won't be on a time restraint. That would be very nice. Maybe some live videos in the future. Let me know how many of you would like to see some live videos in the future, where you could ask me questions directly. If you're watching, if you're felting from left to right, you'll see it spreads the hair out some as opposed to going with the grain. But if you want to go with the grain, that's okay too. What we want to do is get it all smooth. And if you don't like it, you can still pull it off. Because once we have this all in place, we will tap it down more and smooth it all out. I've left enough bald patches. If you're not having bald patches, that's okay. This is just to show you what will you do to fix it if you get some of these patches. And we're going to get to that right in a second. So line the hair up. Control it with your thumb and finger. Excuse me, everyone. I'm still getting used to this camera and trying to keep it in the lens and the focus. So we're going to leave it just this much at the top, uncolored. Okay, this is where the hat is going to go. Now, if you've got some pieces, like as I showed you, just take a little bit of wool, a little bit of your red, pull that apart, and you could patchwork it. Can patchwork it, just tap that right on over. Keep it smooth, always going in the same direction. Keep it smooth, tap it down, another little piece here. Cover that right up, tap it down. Keep it smooth. And rolling it how I am doing, and I hope you're doing the same, will help keep it in that shape. Got some fuzzies. You see fuzzies? Just felt them right on down. Control the wool with your fingers. It will be instinct after a while, just for you to move your fingers away from the needle. And again, we've got some bare patches here. Let's do the same thing again. Little smidgens, little pieces. Smooth them out gently. Same direction. Lay that down and cover it right on up. Now, if your gnome is coming out too thin, you're felting too hard and you're stabbing deep into it, don't do that. You'll end up with what looks like a smooshy arrow. So what you want is just taps. Remember, no deeper than the first bunch of notches. I would like your creations to come out how you would like them. So these videos are a little bit longer, a little bit more instructive. Another patch. If everyone is hearing that scratching, that's just my kitten at the door. He doesn't like to be excluded from anything. And he's a little rambunctious today. He's got super zoomies, so he can't come in right now because he will be up here taking the spotlight off of the gnome. And speaking of, these are not toys. These are not toys for pets. Pets will tear them apart. These fibers are not good for your animals or babies. Remember, these are wool sculpted figurines. There we go. Now we've got the spots all covered up, and you never even know that they were there. So now we want you to go over and smooth the hair, make sure it's attached. Again, we're going to go over, tap it, up, down, left, right, keeping that shape. Keep that shape. And you can do a little bit of a roll. It'll help also firm it up a little bit and keep that shape. I'm just going to put a little bit more smidgen of red at the top to form a line. And that's where the eyes, nose, and hat are going to go. Remember, I'm on a time constraint. You're not. Again, we're going to take a little piece, smooth it out. Right there at the top. Just going to use the red to form a line. Control the hair, or it's going to look like it's going to have a bad hair day. Well, what happens if you don't control the hair? This is what happens if you don't control the hair. You'll have ridges and bumps, and this will stick out everywhere. So control the hair. And check out the teddy bear bobble, the teddy bear bobble. And it's a great example of how to control the wool. Now we have an idea of where we're going to put the hat and the eyes and the face, the little pom-pom nose. So if you're finding that you have some lines, just score through it. It will break up the fibers and smooth it out. Okay, I'll let you do that. Remember to keep your shape, keep your form. Hope everybody can see this okay. And remember, if you have any questions, please use the comment section at the bottom. So you'll want to keep the shape. Make sure all this red wool is felted down. I'll give you a second. There you go. We'll fix the bottom in a minute. I'll give you a second to catch up. Now, once you have this smooth and finished, excuse me, we're going to start on the hat. Now we're going to take our pipe cleaner, and it's a 12-inch pipe cleaner. And if you prefer a smaller candy cane loop, what you would do is you take it, you fold it in half. If you want this, which is about 6 inches, fold it in half and you will twist it. Twist it evenly, how I am doing it. Wrap it all the way around. Twist it firm. And we are going to wrap the core wool around this. Now I want you to leave a tiny, tiny loop at the top, right here. Now you're going to take, he's got me there, you're going to take the second piece, the smaller length of core wool, and about half an inch off of it as we build things up in pieces. Now this loop, put it at the bottom. I'm going to place this on there. You're going to squeeze it between your thumb and your finger and go with the loop, and you're going to turn it. And just take a bit of practice. See, what I do is I get it there and it will affirm. I'm going to roll it a couple times to start, and it will affirm to the pipe cleaner. Now, if it's a bit loose, which is normal for beginners, I want you to take your larger needle now. Please watch your finger on an angle. Try not to hit the pipe cleaner directly. Your needle will break. Tap, a heavy tap into place. Each side of the pipe cleaner on an angle. So a heavy scoring to keep it in place. You'll do that a couple times. Now you've set it, and it will now hold. Now we're going to work up the pipe cleaner. If you need a smaller piece, then you can separate, pull it off even from there if you like. But we're going to keep going. I'm going to pinch it and hold it in place as you roll it. Roll it with your fingers, and it will adhere to the pipe cleaner. Do this for a couple of turns. This does take some practice, like I said. Hold it in place. Hold it like this, and you can score it again. Carefully. Heavy. Poke as you're scoring it. And again, it's adhering to the pipe cleaner, and a couple more. And repeat. Yeah, I hit the pipe cleaner. I was lucky the needle didn't break, and you're going to do this all the way down to the end. So I'm just going to hurry it a little bit here. Roll it to the end. Now, if you're fast at that, go ahead, go all the way down to the end. But remember, take your time. It's not a race. Show you how I'm holding that just in place. This is where your sponge comes in handy because you're not going to hit any hard surface. You just poke, poke, poke. Now when you get to the end and you have this here, I want you to roll over that space twice. Again, and then you're going to fold it over the top. It's okay if it looks like that. And heavy taps. Inside, outside. It's okay if you got a bit of a wispy tail. You're going to roll it again. And if you came out fluffy like mine, tap, tap, tap from that little sucker down. Watch your fingers, keep them on an angle. Your needle, keep your needle on an angle, not your fingers. And if it's still a little poofy, that's okay. Then you can take your smaller felting needle, tap that right down. Keep it on an angle, tap, tap, tap. Try not for this, try and keep it on an angle. Don't hit the pipe cleaner. Excuse me. If you've got wispies on the bottom, just roll that right in. Give it a little tap. And if you don't have a poofy end like I got here, that's okay too. We want it a bit poofier at the end so the tip of the pipe cleaner doesn't poke through your wool. See, I roll things a lot. Systematic, where you just roll and tap and roll and tap. And again, you're going to take it and you're going to take, again, a 1/2 inch. And at the end, again, tap, 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 to score it in place. And now that you have something more for your wool to cling to, you can just roll it. And then we're going to do a build up for it. All the crunching you hear is the fibers tangling together and all the air coming out. You can do this exactly how I'm doing it. Just remember, keep your needle on an angle. You do have 2 each end. The big one will work, and the small one will work for this now, whichever you prefer. I'll go back to the little one. If you want to go and use the little one, go ahead. Keep it on an angle. Keep it smooth. If it goes over the ends, roll it over, smooth it down. Just roll it over, smooth it down. And we are going to make the build-up for the hat. Now, with the hat, the bottom will be a little bit bigger than the top. Now you're going to do this as the build up. And again, take the half. Remember to make it semi-firm because you will be adding color to this. Now you can pick whichever end you like to be your top and your bottom. It will naturally be. And you're going to roll it. See, it's starting to form his hat. Remember, keep it smooth. Want it semi-firm. You don't want it hard. And keep it on an angle. You're going to build this up. Again, have everything. It helps you control the wool. And again, I'm on a time restraint. Excuse me again, goodness. You're not. You can take your time. And again, we don't want an arrow. Form it into that shape, bigger at the bottom, smaller as you go up. Tap, tap, tap. This might seem like a longer way. Oh, there's some black in there. Let me get that out. Especially if you're a beginner and I know you want to hurry and get these things done. But it does take some time. And that's what this is about, is time. By repetition, you will get quicker. And as you learn, you will get faster. It's a little humid today because I had freezing rain last night, and then the snow came today. Wrap it so it's a little humid. And you're going to continue this until you get the shape of the gnome hat. So a little rounder on the bottom and thinner as you go up, and we'll do that right now. So let me just finish getting this. I'm going to smooth it out. Right, let me get another piece, and again you'll take a 1/2 inch piece. And you'll work your way up. Work your way up, 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 and you can just twirl it right on around. And again, another technique is to lightly just roll it on there lightly, and it'll help you form a shape. It'll also calm the wool. Again, semi-firm, so your wool will have something to cling to, or you're going to be felting all day. Now, if you happen to get a little notch at the top, that's okay. You can just pull it right on over. This is for the top. You want to start large and work your way up. I'll let you go catch up with that. Go and catch up with that. I'll firm it down. Excuse me, tap it down. Tap it down. Use your fingers if you have to. Just watch your fingers. And we'll be back here in a second. And welcome back to part 3 of making your gnome for the holidays gnome. So what we want to do is, don't forget, make sure it's tapped down. Remember, it has to be semi-firm, but not hard at this point. We want it to hold the color on without falling off, and no bumps throughout, keeping that shape. And remember, again, you can just give it a gentle roll, smooth it out. You can give it just a little. There we go. Because when we felt the color on, it's going to be harder. The body becomes harder as we felt it on. So let's look at an example for a moment. This was the example of what you needed to do if you weren't going to use the pipe cleaner. So this is firm, not hard, but it is firm now because we have the color on it, and every poke adds to its firmness. Don't want it smushy like this. It's going to deform and it won't work. So semi-firm. So once you have your hat ready for the color, just adjusting in the chair, you can go ahead and put the color on it. Please start with the red, and we're going to tuck it down right above the top part of the fold in the hat. We'll take your small needle, or big one if you like, but I prefer small. Just tap it down a little bit to keep it in place. And I like to go from left to right with color, because you see how it will spread. The color will spread up or down. Go ahead and do that. Remember to control the wool with your finger. It'll also help you keep your finger away from your needle. Or this way if you prefer, whichever way you prefer to lie it down. Whichever way you prefer. And we're not going to leave any open or broad spots for this. Last video I showed you how to cover the spots. So just line them up and go ahead and tap that down. And once you're comfortable, you can go along up and down with the grain. Tap, tap, tap. And if you want to do a comparison between this And this can already see the difference, or excuse me, feel the difference with the firmness. Now, what you do next is you will tuck the red down into this roll. Again, on an angle. It's also firming up the roll, and it will pull that hair right in. You don't want the red bleeding into what will be your white. Put that right on in. Got a terrible shadow going on. Let me adjust this light. There we go. Just tuck it right on in there, and you will continue the red all the way up. Line it up. Control it. And lie it down. Continue this all the way up. Remember, if you get balding patches, you can take a little bit and patch them up after. Okay. Go ahead and do that. When you have that done and it's all wrapped nicely, just go in and firm it up a tab by some stabs here. That crunch, getting that area out of it. Form the top a little bit more, smooth out any bumps that occurred. Again, if you're finding you have lines, just strike through them and blend it all in with your needle. Poke, poke, poke. And you can do this a few times. You don't want an arrow. Just go through this way. Smooth this out. Remember the hand trick that I showed everybody? Gently, gently, this will smooth it out. Well, future videos will go over some tools or other needles, more techniques. Now we could tuck this under. Tap, tap, tap. Don't flatten it because you need that roll. Get that all even. Do this on an angle. The other side, you see I'm not dragging the body or the head. I'm just lift and a bit of a turn, lift and a bit of a turn. This also keeps you from having everything get fuzzy. And remember to keep this bottom part thinner at the top. Excuse me, keep this bottom part fatter. Check, check, check. See, still needs to be firmed up a little bit. do what I do, just stab right into that. It shrinks down as the fibers intertwine. Remember, this is not a race, not for you. This is therapeutic. Take your time. The gnome is more technical than the bear. These are my own designs. We'll work at that to get it to a good roundish point from the mid up. We always give you extra fibers to make any corrections. And I have a great tutorial coming up for what to do with your leftovers if you didn't need them. I work with the same amount of fibers as I put into the felting kits. Just to work that up, and remember, if there's any patchwork to be done, you can do that. What we were doing here is we're going to prep for the crook at the top. For the crook at the top. So from about mid, start heavy taps or light stabs. You'll see how it's getting thinner and getting to a point. Thinner and to a point. Big to small. Remember, if you have any bare patches, you can cover them when you're done or at any time. And of course, it'll smooth it out a little bit. Now, all of our wool comes from Alberta, Canada. Now, finally get feel for just a little bit more into semi-firm, so then it'll hold the bend. So we'll go from about mid, excuse me, and all the way up. There we go. A few the other way now, just here and there. Remember, the more you stab, the smaller it gets and the firmer it gets. Get that bit of white out of there. There. Now, before we get to the bend, we are going to do the face. So you can figure out what side you would like to do the face on. We're going to take our set of 2 4mm eyes. Now, if you have an awl, you could use that now, but what we want to do is put the eyes directly under the hat. Here will be an eye, and there will be an eye. Now, if you don't have an awl, take your bigger felting needle, or a pencil. I always suggest a pencil because pencil will rub off, so you don't need it later. You just mark where you want the eye. Mark where you want the eye. Now, like with the bear, I'm going to use a marker. So you want the eyes here. I can see the pencil mark. No, you can't because you can't see on the camera. So we're going to put an eye here. And an eye here. Just take that small needle and just tuck it up under there. Looks like we have a frill going on. There we go. Now, I'd like the eyes done before we do the white on this. Now, if you don't have an awl, just felt along in the hole, in the circle, straight in, and you stab, stab, stab that in. It's not going to hurt your wool. Remember to keep this on your sponge or your pad. For the 4mm eyes. You will need a hole at least that width. Go right in there. And right in there. Oops, I've lost the hole. There it is. Tucked up under there. There we go. Go just adjusting that color because it got pulled right in to his little eye. Almost looks like a little tomato. There we go. Now the eyes are in, and we don't glue them until we're all done. He's going to get smooth. He's going to get moved around a bit more, and he's going to get smushed. Now we're going to take a bit of your white, and again we're going to do. That will be about a 1/2 inch when we lay it down. And again, we start right above that eye. Lay your wool down, control it, and because he has the eyes now, you take your small one, just tap onto the eyes, very easy, tap, tap, tap. And this will give the appearance of almost hanging over his eyes, but not really. No, give it a score through. See, it'll spread top from bottom to top. Tuck around here, make sure it's in. Just lay it down, continue it around. And again, tap, tap. Trying to let the white bleed into the red. That's why we did the red first. Yeah, that is my cat you're hearing in the background, snoring. I'm going to go all the way around. Depending on how big you made the rim, you may need a little bit more whiter, a little bit more, a little bit less. Go in and cover that up, go with the grain. Control it with your fingers. Let's turn it over so you can see what I'm doing here. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Smoothing it with your fingers and tuck and tap. And like I said, the gnome is a bit more technical, but if you enjoy a challenge, even if you're a beginner, you'll certainly enjoy this, and there's no rush. You can pause videos at any time. I'm the only one on a time constraint. Tuck, tuck, tap and tuck and tap and tuck. You can even put X's on these, or stars, whatever works. Just remember, the more you stab, the more you felt it down and the harder you make it. Even it out a little bit. Oh. Loose bit right there. Now, I am hoping to have another kit out before Christmas. It'll be a surprise. If you're local to my area, you could message me and come over and pick up a kit. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to introduce a felting box with coral and different colors in it, needles, tools, finger covers, I was asked about that recently, about having a larger box with multiple colors and core wool in it with a few different needles. So I will try to get that together in a couple of weeks. And again, if you're local, you can just message me and stop by and pick it up. Something else that I was asked about was ladybugs, horses. I'm peeking at a list as I felt. More teddy bears. And of course about the rabbits. Rabbits are a bit more technical than either the teddy bear or the gnome. But it is something we can look at for the future. I know 5 of you asked about the fantasy Highland cows. We can definitely do that in the future. I've been asked about in-person workshops. I don't have the facilities for it, but that's something we can look at in the future. We'll do some live videos. In the future. For us here in Canada, winter is pretty much here, and a lot of us don't do anything, and this is a great craft over the winter. Now, next let's do the nose. So we're going to set the nose right down just a little bit below the eyes. Get that in there, and it is a pom-pom to make it easier on everybody. Just between the eyes, but just a little bit lower. I hope everybody can see that. That's where the eye is going to go. Excuse me again, goodness. You're going to take your small felting needle and very gently on an angle, you're going to tap it in the same place. So work it just a little bit there to hold it in place for you. And if that's the way you want it, and then we're going to hold it down. Watch your fingers, please. And we're going to tap all the way around the outside on both sides. Double check that. There we go. Good spot. Okay. Now, on an angle, you're going to go in with your needle. Gently. Stab. Not tap now. Stab all the way around the nose. Into the pom-pom. So the pom-pom will felt directly into the gnome. We're going to do this at the top. Yes, it looks a little bit flat. That's okay. It won't be when you're done. So when you have it in the position you want, you create things. Put these puff balls, give it a wiggle. Still good. Now there is a knot in the middle of the pom-pom. Go right beside that knot. Each side. Stab down in, top, bottom, and both sides. Give it a little rub. All gone. All gone. Now, in your kit, you will get these little curly cues. Don't pull or tug on them. The curl will pull out. Now, you have a mix of a couple of littles and a few longs. So, take which one you think would be best for a mustache. Oops. Just set that off to the side. And this would be great for one side of the head. It's also smaller. Good for the other side of the head. So now we have the form. So we have a mustache on each side. Excuse me for 1 second. I'll get a drink. Yes, it's winter, getting dry. Now what I suggest we do is we're going to start with the beard and the hair. So I like to work from the underside out, inside up. And you'll get 10 or 12 of these. Well, that's a great bounce on that one. Another small one. So we will start on the beard and work our way around. So we'll start on the left or right side, whichever you like. We're going to fold the hair in half. And if you think it's a bit long, you can cut it. But it's all going to meld into one. So we're going to take this side and fold it in half. Goodness, I'm off the screen. Fold it in half right by the eye. Just a little bit over from the eye. Like maybe 1-2 millimeters. Fold your hair in half, and then we're going to tuck it up in the hat. Just that piece. A few pokes. There we go. Now we got one started. You're going to go all the way around, leaving the bigger pieces for the back. Fold that in half. Remember, it doesn't have to be even. You could have a long or short piece, even, whatever you like. It's your Santa. It's your Santa holiday gnome. And again, line it up with the hat. Couple of pokes, tuck it underneath. And go around again. Line them up. Tuck it under the hat with a few pokes. Line it up. Give it a few pokes. If you want them to be further apart, felt it under the hat further apart. If you don't like it, pull it out. You have a spot that you like. Poke it right up on in there. Remember to felt it down really good if you got the spot you like, because it'll be tough to come out. Again, we're going to do this all the way around. Keep the big ones for the back. Tuck it under. A few stabs. I'm going to do that again. And again, you have a lot left over. These guys, use these guys good. These curls, you have 10 to 12 of them. If you've made a larger gnome or a fatter gnome, you'll want to use them sparingly. Okay, now, there it is. From smaller curly cues to the larger ones at the back, you've created the hair. What we're going to do now is just going to keep going around. Move it down below the eyes, next to the nose. And if you think they're too long, of course you can trim them off. Keep going. Like, I'll probably trim this one. Yes, we'll just trim it. And of course, the best way to do that is fold that in half. Just cut it on an angle. There we go. A little bit over from the nose and tack that right down. You like that spot? Poke it in a few more times. There we go. And we're going to move over. We're just going to keep right on going. right on going, right on around. And see from here you can see what we're doing, why we're creating the face right there by going round and round. Even him out a bit. And if you don't want to have hair on the back of him, you don't have to. A little bit high. That was a bit high. Just pull it out, lay it down again, fold it in half. We can probably get one more in there. There we go. And fold it in half. Okay, and the smaller one we saved for up in here. You can smooth them down. I'm going to take the mustache, put it on here. You could make his face bigger, smaller. The Riddles Gnome, his face is a little bit more smushed up. Just put that right down between the nose, fold it in half, and tap it down. And if you don't want the curls in the back, you can just pull that right on out. I'll just take a couple out here. There we go. Tap that back into place. And take some of this white. Take some of this white from the fold in your hat. Take about just a couple of millimeters. Pull that apart. You'll measure it out for how much hair you'd like. So you like this much hair. So fold that over and just give it a little pull. Then take that again, fold that in half, lay it right there, tuck that piece right up into the hat. This is also a technique on how you make fur. Tuck it right up under the hat. You have it set, fold it up gently, tuck it up under there again this way, lay it back down, tuck it right there again. Lay it down. You could make it shorter. You can give this a little cut, and I'll show you how to do that. So your fingers this way to the length that you want. So you want it a bit longer. Make sure you have your fingers folded for felt, please. Line it up. Fingers are tucked. And just cut it off. It doesn't have to be 100%. And then just go in and just like little nips out of it. Definitely watch your fingers. Lay that down, and then you will repeat that. Lay it down in half, fold it in half, tuck it on the fold up under the hat. Lift it up, tuck that part under the bottom, lay it down, tuck, tuck, tuck up under that hat. Let's make sure right here it's lined up. You can see where I have the space there. And of course, that's easily fixed. Line that hair up. Again, lay it down, put it on the fold. It doesn't matter if you tack it, which way you tack it. Down, tap it down. There we go. There it is. There we go. Lay it down. I'm going to repeat that again. Like I said, I'm on time constraints. You're not. And take your time doing this. There we go. Now he had some hair, and he's got his beard. Go back, tidy this up. And now you have your mark for where you want the hair. Tuck that finger. There we go. And just go in and take a few chops out of it. Put it on an angle. You can use an eyebrow comb to comb this out. Mascara brush, which I'll use right now like a mascara brush. It'll get a little bit more frizzy. You could take your bigger needle. Very gently, you can, whatever you like. If you'd like to do both, you can definitely go ahead and do both. Lay that down. Take your small needle. Tuck that right back up underneath. On top of the hair. It will make it look fuller. Put it on underneath the hat. Please like and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date. You can also check out the Facebook Faltaholics page. That would be nice. We don't have any views on there. I have everything lined up for YouTube so we can get these 2 videos out. There we go. Tucked up underneath there. Now these curls, they will loosen a little bit over time. So what I'd like you to do, line him up and just a little tap, tap, tap on these beards. This will help keep the curls in place. Do this one little tap per curl. Don't pull them, just let them fall where they might. And then they will stay in this position. There we go. Now for the boots. So we should have still a bunch left over. I want you to take a piece. This is about 2 inches and pull that in half. There we go. I'll just set him over there. Now we're going to roll this up. This is for his boots. Roll it up all the way up. And it's okay that it's still loose. Now you're going to fold it in half. Now this bump that you created by folding in half is going to be the front of his, or the top of his boot and the bottom of his boot. The hole, there we go. So you take your small felting needle and you will tap lightly around the edges to make the form. And you know the card trick I showed you with the bears? Well, let's go over that again. Get my 2 cards out. I have to use a different card here for a second. There we go. You take your, you would take this, your little person, goodness. You'll take your foot and place it between the cards. Now watch your fingers. We don't want it flat, but we do need it tapped down. Tap it gently down. So we want a little flat at the back, oval at the front, and you flip this over and do that again. Oh, went off camera. Okay. Okay, flips it over it. Tap, tap, tap. So we only need a slight bit of a form. Now, if you have finger guards, let me show you finger guards. You could use those. I'll have these available soon as well. Thumb, finger. And I do use these for smaller projects, like these feet. So the feet are coming together. This will be the top of the boot, the bottom of the boot. Of course, and this is just for the form. I want to make it round, so we'll keep going in that half circle. Then we're going to turn it over. Do the other side, half circle. We're going to make 2 of these. Just tap that down. Come to the back. Now flatten this part down. I think I could do this with my bare fingers, but trying to keep in the light. I have a terrible shadow going on. I do apologize. I hope you can still see what we're doing. So you have an oval on the top, flat on the bottom. You'll need 2 of these. These are the boots. Get over here, look at the little boots. The little boots. Again, we're going to do that again. Roll that up. Don't need to tap it down. Just roll it up. Fold it in half. Again, the top of your boot. The bottom of your boot. Remember, you can use a card. Card this way. I'll get this lined up. So what you're doing is you're pinching the felt between the 2 cards. Tap that right on down. And then you're going to turn it. Tap all that fuzz down. Watch your fingers. Turn this over. And do that again. You're going to do that till you have the same one as this. And I'll use my bare fingers here. Now if at this point you're pretty good with the needle, you could use your bare fingers. It's up to you. Whatever you're comfortable with. We don't want it too flat. Oval. And I like to do feet, legs, arms at the same time. That's where you have a better chance of getting them the same size. There we go. Now you got your little booties made. I'll felt this one down just a bit more. Okay, then you're going to take your black and it, about, again, a couple of millimeters. And you're going to go from bottom to top. Excuse me. Start at the bottom and you're going to wrap this. It'll keep the length. Wrap that on your boot. Like this, like that. There we go. Mom, just tap it down to keep it in place. I want you to do that again. And all the way over. It doesn't matter that this is a mess. Just tap it down. This is just to give you some color profile on your little boot. But if you want to go ahead and cover this whole thing, you can go right ahead and do that. Now we're going to take this little guy. Whatever you choose to be the top of your boot. We're going to put that boot right there and we're going to start to felt that down. Leave this little boot over. Remember, we're going to do this twice. Okay, and we're going to use your larger needle for this. Just tap it down, angular, all the way around on the outside. Make sure the bottom is lined up with the bottom of your gnome. Some of you will remember how we did the bear's nose. Go all the way around, couple taps here and here, just to make sure it's felted down in the middle. Don't make it flat, but you want it to be even. Now this is going to be the left boot. Now how we did the noses on the bear is going to be similar for this. There we go. Now we're going to do the other boot. Again, same size. Top to bottom, bottom to top. Tap that down. And again, we're wrapping the boot. This is for beginners, so you get a gauge, a handle on how it's going to work. Just tap that down a little bit. And again, if you get the gist of how we're making a boot, go right on ahead and make the boot. Like I said, it's very similar to the bear's nose. Again, we're going to lay that down at the bottom. Make sure that the bottom of the boot lines up with the bottom of your gnome. Tap that down all the way around the outside like you did with the first boot on an angle. Line that up. Make sure you're tucking these black hairs right in. If you're having a problem, you can switch over to your smaller felting needle. This one's losing the shape a little bit. Let's just tuck that right up on in there. All the way around. A couple taps through the middle to keep it held in place. Now you're going to take your black again. Time about a little bit less than a half an inch, and pull that in half. You'll line that up. Go back to your first boot. Lay this down in the middle, closer to the side. Everybody's different, but start on the inside. Now you'll take your needle, tap that down in place. Now we're tucking like we did with the fold in the hat. Tuck, tuck, tuck that black in there. And as you're tucking, I want you to work your way over with this boot. You get that far, take it and wrap your boot right around the edge from outside to inside. You'll do this all the way around. Now if you were to take the boot and just wrap it with the black, then tap it down, it's going to deform your boot. But this is a beginner tutorial. We want you to learn lots of tips and techniques. And this is a technique you can use for a lot of things. Again, just wrap that right up. Top to bottom as you work it up, and it spreads up. So if you were to take a piece of coral wool and wrap it up and stick it on, well, your boot won't have anything but roundness to it, and it'll come out flat. Or just to simply put it on without color on it, you'll have a flat boot. So again, go ahead one boot at a time, unless at this point you need to do both and can do both. You can go ahead and do that. So we're going to cover the color on each boot one at a time instead of two. So again, you're going to take strip and rip them in half. You want them to fit. And we want your boot to stay on. And by now your boot should be semi-firm with the poking. Back and forth. Don't stab, but we want some heavy taps. You're going to work your way down the boot. Keep that tucked up in there. Keep the length, keep the width. And again, you're going to do that. Now, if you cut your felt, I'll show you with this piece. If you cut your felt, you're going to end up with sharp edges that don't felt very well. Don't cut your felt. So, pull. Again, control the wool with your fingers. Keep that tack down. Tap that underneath. And keep the shape. You also get a bit of a tread look going on as well with the needle. Well, for the moment. There. Now clean that up. Tap, tap, taps. Now you're going to do the other foot the same way. And take a little strip. Couple of millimeters. Lay it on the outside. Tap it down and work from the outside, inside. You can go up or down, whichever you prefer. Wrap that right around. Remember, watch your fingers. The needles are sharp. Got that again. If you're watching this channel and you're not a beginner, and you have your own way to make a boot, you go right ahead and do that. That boot. Put that right up on in there, sideways. Do that again for the top of the boot. Little score through the middle. This is also a great technique for ears on animals. At the top. Go through the top. Remember, keep the bottom even. Oh, you see? And we got two little booties. Two cute little black boots. Now you'll see one is bigger than the other, and sometimes that will happen. So we just go right on in. Remember to tack things down on an angle. Clean that right up around that boot. You can stab this, especially at the bottom, because you want it to remain flat. Make one a little bit more oval. And your core wool saves you money on coloring. There are core wools that come in different colors, but not where I get my supplies from. And round, 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 round. Tuck that, tuck that. Just go right over the top there. Around boot, around boot. If you're not happy with the edges, just keep tucking them in until you got the edges tucked in and good. Little spot there. Now we have a pair of little booties. Crazy little curls, crazy little hair. He's almost done. Now, if you want to put arms on him, you can. You don't have to, of course. You would take a smidgen of your core wool and roll it into a couple of tiny tubes. You don't need very much. We'll roll this up all the way, like we did with the feet, but longer. Roll that in half. Tap that down. Roll the tube. And because it's different than the feet, you could roll the red on it. This has been an extremely long video. Very technical. Just roll that right up. Roll it up from left to right. Getting off camera again. Roll it from left to right. There we go. Roll in, tap, 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 and it will cover that piece. And we're going to make just one arm for this guy. You'll have to make two. Try to keep the hairs going in the same way. Don't make the arm really long. Get this tapped down. Tuck that in. Sure it's smooth. I'll have to do two of these. And the lucky thing about arms is that they're just there. Don't make it too firm or it's not going to stick. So once you have your arm made, that's probably too long. You just lay it down, right down over, right down over, and it can still be a little smushy. I'll give it a little tuck there. Go around the outside. Go around in that circle. The camera view again. You'll have to do two of these. There we go. Well, that's very hard to see on the camera. Like I said, you don't have to have arms. Just like you did with the boot. Right around the outside, all the way around. Tack it down on an angle. Angle. He does have an arm, you see? Little arm right there. Yeah, now he has a little arm. And you'll have to do that twice. So let's do it again. Wasn't it? There we go. And just put it right on the other side. Take your fine felting needle and tap it around the outside of the arm like you did with the previous arm. All the way around. Oh, sorry, I was out of camera. All the way around. And stab it in the middle a few times. Remember, don't make it flat. There we go. Oh, now, as he gets a bit fuzzy, remember you can take his little curls, line them up, tap them down when you're finished. Now we're going to get to the hat. Now before you do the hat, let's just make sure it's a bit firmer so it'll hold the crook on the end. So just go over it a few more times from about here to here and make sure that it's firm, because it's going to need to hold that curve from here to here. Hold the curve. Remember, down here is still semi-firm. So if you overdo it a little bit, you can take your finger and smush it into place. And go ahead and even all that out. There we go. And from here to here, as you can see, should be a bit firmer. Go right ahead and do that. Yeah, mine has a bend in it. That's okay. So when you get to the point where it's a bit firmer, we're going to bend it. Just because it's where the belt is going to be. Go ahead and just felt that a bit more. Bend it so it'll hold the shape. Don't felt these two pieces together. Just go over it so it'll hold that shape. You can press the back down, belt the top. And move it all around there. Now, I hope between the two videos, and especially this one being longer and more technical, you've learned a lot of techniques, not just for the bear or this gnome, but for other things as well. So we want to form that curve there. There we go, we're getting the curve. And underneath should be a little, right in here, just a tad bit flatter, so it will hold the curve. Normally I would spend a lot of time firming these things up more, and you can go ahead and do that, and it doesn't have to be rock hard. That will take you forever, but firm is good, and the end is just about firm. Now the reason we don't form the crook at the end, then put the felt on, is because especially if you're a beginner, it makes it more difficult for the wrap around, and it'll separate at the top. Go ahead. And with the felting, you'll see it might get some patches here, little white patches. With your red, just go ahead and cover that up if you want. And that's just getting formed there, little tucks in here and there. Keep that shape, watch your fingers, and please remember there is a pipe cleaner in there. Try not to hit it. Needles don't last forever and they will break. There we go, and just shape that up a little bit. Keep forming that crook at the top. Yeah, I got fuzzies everywhere. That's normal. So I want you to take a pinch, just a little pinch of this here. I want you to take a pinch this side, and I want you to set it aside before you start your stripes. Now, how long would you like your stripes? Mine are small, so we take about 1 millimeter across. Smooth it down with your hands. And we start at the back, and we're going to work our way up on an angle. I like to give the end a little twirl right there. Now, depending on how big or small you want your stripe, it does not make a difference. So, tuck that into the hat, and it's white. You can get away with a little bit more. And I want you to work it, twirl it all the way around, just like this. And we have going on an angle. So go right on in, tap, 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 tap. Yeah, it's spreading out, but that's okay. Big or small, it's fine. If you don't like it, remember with the small taps, you can just pull it right off. You get little hairs, just smooth them down with your finger. Now these pieces are quite thin, and again, that's okay. Get some fuzzies here. And keep it the same size. If you need to do shorter pieces, go ahead. Let's see where I have these smaller pieces here. Don't like it, you could just take them off or rearrange them because they are only tapped down. So go to where it starts to thin out. For mine, it's right here. Line that right up. Keep it in line with your piece. Just going to roll it right on around. Go right to the end. if you're getting wispies and some fuzzies, like you see what's going on with just some little fuzzies, lay it down with your finger, line it up. Use your needle, just slightly drag it. At this point, if you're having problems with your foam, just remove it from the foam, because we're not stabbing, we're tapping this in place. Keep the lines nice and even. Remember, yours isn't going to be exactly like mine. This is what's very unique about needle felting. No piece is going to be 100% the same. This makes it uniquely yours. There we go. Right on through and tap that down. Keep it even. Just reinforcing it. We're not dragging it. You can lift it up, doing taps, because it will become fuzzy. To the end, a little twirl on it. You see it'll catch on your needle. Just poke that right on down, and again, a 1/2 millimeter if you want the smaller ones. And you're going to do this a couple times. Control that wool. Just line it right on top of the one that you just done. Keep it the same size. And you're going to do this right to the end. Okay, go ahead and do that, and I'll see you back here in 1 second. Okay, welcome back. So we've got, or I would hope everybody got their stripes on. So I've left a couple of mine a little disheveled here to show you how to fix them. So you will get fuzzies around the outside. So a little bit unevenness. Now, you remember how we did the brim and how we're tuck it in on the side? Go ahead and do that with the little fuzzies, controlling it with your finger. And just tap it from the top right in place. This is why it's tap down and not stab down. Now, when you're happy with it, with the size of the stripe, and your little fuzzies are tapped down in place, then you can go ahead and stab all the way through. Not completely through, but stab into place, controlling the hair. You can't even see this. Here, there we go. On an angle, remember, please don't bend your needle. Or have your stripes go small at the tip. Get that all tap down and tuck in the loose ends. We'll go over that again, top and bottom, tucking that right into place. Little fuzzies there. Let's just tuck that in. Remember, don't drag it. It'll create the fuzzies. Just lift and turn. 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 Turn as we go down. And again, up here, some fuzzies. Just tuck that in. If you turn it upside down, go ahead and do that. Get that little tiny wispy piece, give it a little bit of a twirl on the end, and just poke it right in. There we go, and little fuzzies here. Tuck that right on in. There we go. Next will be your bell. So the piece I had you set aside, this is going to be our thread. Give it a little twist, don't pull. Right between your fingers, smooth it all down. Now this is going to be a bit tricky. This is for the bell. If you're more comfortable putting your own thread on it, you can try. I picked these bells specifically because the needle will fit through them. So take your piece of felt, make a loop around it, give it a little twirl again, and then I want you to take this and, like a thread, I want you to thread it through. The loop on the bell. It will take you a couple of tries because we are threading it through. There we go. Now it's through. Only pull it halfway. I'm going to take it very carefully, just to give it a tiny spin as you're holding the other end. Now, next you're going to take the bell and you're going to take it right to the edge of the tip of the hat. And if you want it to hang down more, bring it down more. As my cat already took the bell off of my last one, we're going to make this one closer. Now, line that up on the tip. Take your fine felting needle and just felt this right down, right over the top. Don't hit the bell. Remember, there is a pipe cleaner in there still. You don't want the jingle. You just want the bell there. Of course, you could always open it and take the bell out, but I don't see the point of that. But if you want it tight, line that up and put your felting needle through the loop on the top of the bell. can hear that scraping a little bit. Just be careful. And this will make it tighter to the hat. And there we go. We are done. If you don't like his face so red, which I think are very cute for the cheeks, you can take a bit of your white. A little bit of your white here. You can take the nose and the eyes off and just lay this white over top and felt that down. Now, if your little guy has gotten a little tangled, because as I said before, these curls will loosen up some, just take your needle and poke the bottom of these curls right in. A poke, not a stab or a tap, but a poke. Just the very bottom of it. And wool is very good about keeping its shape. A little poke poke. You can put it over its little arms if you want, if you put arms on them. Poke, poke, poke. Remember, if you don't like his long beard, you can trim it, but do trim it on an angle. Oh, over the little arms there. There we go. And now he's ready. He's ready for the tree. Thank you for hanging with me for this very long technical video. I hope you've learned a lot from it. You could put these techniques into play in so many other things when it comes to felting. Anything from using a little pom-pom to make it quicker for you. The boots are great beginner style. The arms, it's all about shapes and placements and about getting the right expression, even if he doesn't have a mouth. And in the future, we'll go over expressions. Thank you again, and remember, please like and subscribe, leave a comment, any ideas that you might have for the future, please let me know, and thank you, and thanks for watching both of my videos. I'm new to doing these types of videos, so thank you very much. And I'll see you again soon. Keep your needles straight, everybody.